What's up, everybody? Welcome to the TJ Carpenter Show. I'm TJ Carpenter, and as always, you can show your support for this show by going to mybookie.lv. Fastest payouts of any online book. Use promo code PHANTOM. PHANTOM. F-A-N-T-O-M. 50% bonus cash on your first deposit. It's a lot of money sitting there. 50% of whatever you put in, you get in addition to that to bet on NBA games, March Madness, what have you. If you wanna bet on rugby, there's like a rugby tournament going on right now. Yesterday, I was caught in what can only be described as a snow hurricane. I know that people are talking about it like it's what do they call it? Bomb cyclone? Okay, bomb cyclone. It does a good job of explaining what the kind of impact that kind of storm will have, but I think snow hurricane much more descriptive and much more accurate. Paints a better picture of what actually happened in Denver and South Dakota and Nebraska and Wyoming. Basically, if you live out in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the United States, you're probably still buried under about 3 feet of snow. Crazy, man. I've never been a part of anything like that. I've never seen anything like that. That was totally crazy. We went skiing the day before the storm hit, and it was just that, plus Facebook was down. We had all kinds of problems. So I apologize for no show this week until today. Thank you very much for joining the show as it is. Today we're going to talk about paying players again, because that's all the offseason is really about. And in particular, the Cowboys aren't really paying new players. They're paying old players. And unfortunately, even though that may be a good move, it's not a sexy move, which means that Cowboys fans are talking themselves in circles, freaking out about what are, I believe, fairly minute problems right now with the organization when it comes to talent. I don't necessarily think you can't obsess over anything else, right? Because you can only obsess over the things that you know could potentially change. You can't obsess over things that will never change. And it's kind of like the difference between somebody who obsesses over whether or not they're going to convince a girl to go out with them, or a guy, vice versa, whatever, versus somebody who obsesses over like the sky being blue. If you obsess over that, you're kind of a cuckoo bird, So like that's kind of where Cowboys fans are. They know they can't change the sky. They know they can't change the fact that Jerry Jones is the owner. They know that the coach is going to be the coach this season. So you end up fixating on things that you think might change, that you think maybe you want to see change on the field. And so, it ends up becoming this whole thing about free agents and Earl Thomas and Antonio Brown and other players. Landon Collins was mentioned. And of course, Cowboys fans always believe to some extent that they are entitled to the best player on the market, which is not true. But that nevertheless, that's part of the elitism that comes with being a Cowboys fan. And before you get all upset saying, we're not elitists, yes, you are. You are by definition elite, an elitist if you are a Cowboys fan, because you're a Cowboys fan. It's the biggest fan base in the United States. It is the team that gets the most unwarranted attention. And what I mean by unwarranted is that it has nothing to do with what happens on the field. Nothing. The Cowboys are going to get massive wall-to-wall coverage on ESPN, FS1, and every other sports network from here to Timbuktu because they're the Cowboys. Not because of who they are. Not because they're any good or bad or whatever. That's totally irrelevant. They could be the best team in the league, hands down, and they would still get great, massive coverage even if they were the worst team in the league. They could be operated like the Cleveland Browns. They're not, but they could be operated like the Cleveland Browns have since 1997 and still be the most covered team on television in America because they're the Cowboys. So the notion that you think you're entitled to the highest profile free agent or trade or news story out there isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just a byproduct of being a Cowboys fan. You think you're entitled to everything because you have entitlement issues. But once again, that's just culture. That's just society. But we're going to talk a lot about something that I think Ari touched on that you guys have a lot of opinions on, and that is Dak Prescott, better or worse than Tony Romo? And, I find it odd that we spent an hour earlier today on Ari's show talking about whether or not Tony Romo was better than Dak Prescott. And then we have to start to rationalize to ourselves all the ways in which Dak Prescott is better than Tony Romo, because clearly, if you just watch the two play, no shit, Tony Romo's better than Dak Prescott at throwing the football. Like, no duh. So if there's anybody out there who has a contrary opinion, you have to start searching, deep searches for what exactly makes Dak Prescott in any way, shape, or form a better quarterback than Tony Romo. And then all of a sudden it becomes a lot of intangible stuff. And this is, I don't want to get into my personal world beliefs on the air right now, but I will say that this conversation reminds me a lot of a lot of political or religious conversations wherein you have one person who is deeply rooted in reality and the other person who is deeply rooted in convincing you that their opinion is correct. And that's kind of where I see most of the Dak Prescott supporters. You don't really have a statistical win-loss, you don't really have any leg to stand on to say that Dak Prescott in a vacuum is better than Tony Romo. You don't. There's no statistic out there that proves that. There's no win-loss record that proves that. There's no anything that proves that. And by the way, Dak Prescott's team's significantly better than the teams that Tony Romo played on. And I think that for some reason we seem to forget that in this whole thing. That, yeah, Tony Romo was hamstrung a lot by his inability to, in very isolated moments, not produce the way he exactly needed to produce in the fourth quarter. But he was also haunted by the fact that his surrounding talent, other than Jason Witten, was not that good. I mean, he was handing the ball off to Tashard Choice and Felix Jones at one point. That was the backfield. So, this idea that we need to have this conversation, we don't need to have this conversation. Okay, all right. So let's get into the comments. I want to have a conversation with you guys. Chris is saying, "How's it going, TJ? How's the fence?" The fence is fucked. It's totally screwed. The snow hurricane destroyed my backyard and my front yard and my neighborhood and the city that I live in. So we're just waiting for everything to melt so that we can then assess the damage and then they shut down the highway. Do you realize in a city like Denver what shutting down the highway means? It means 3 million people have nowhere to go. They can't leave. They can't do anything. There's so much snow everywhere that you can't move. This is true. Yesterday, I tried to back out of my driveway. I snowplowed the whole driveway. The wind was still blowing, so there was a lot of snow in the air, even though it had stopped snowing. I snowplowed the driveway, tried to pull out, got 2 feet out of the driveway, got stuck, had to dig my car out just so I could drive it back into the garage. That's a snow hurricane, people. You think and I will say, I've never seen a snow hurricane before. If anybody has been in a snow hurricane before, you know what I'm talking about. But this is a fairly unprecedented meteorological event that we just went through. Let's see. Rick says, "Sup, you sexy bitch." What's up, Rick? Joe's in the house. What's up, Joe? Joe Tranchino. What's up, TJ? Michael Lafferty in the house. What's up, Michael? One of my faves. Aldo saying, "What's up? Finally made the show again. I hope you all are having a good day. What's up, TJ? Missed watching you." Thank you very much, Aldo. I appreciate that. Had a few days off. We have a lot of stuff going on right now. Not just in Denver with the weather, but also, we have a lot of stuff going on with Phantom that I was also doing. So you may see some of those videos. We're going to post and play some of those videos on the show today, so stay tuned for that. Michael says, "Yo, t-shirt, TJ." What's wrong with V-neck? You don't like the V-neck? Aldo says it was a Sharknado. It was almost a Sharknado. It had teeth. Bradley says, "North Dakota here, crazy shit." Yeah, Bradley. North Dakota and South Dakota both got hit hard, as they usually do. Wayne says, "The Weather Channel?" Aldo, good. Then I didn't miss anything but Ari's show. LOL. Yeah, you didn't miss anything. Daniel, "I hate sexy moves I want to see moves where we get better. Yeah, Daniel, that's a good point. And I think, I don't know if they haven't made any moves, really. So we can't say they've gotten better, but we can say that they will basically hold serve as to what they were from a talent perspective last season. They're not really losing anybody. So that's a good sign. Defensively, I feel like really misplayed their hand here with DeMarcus Lawrence. That's not a good situation that they're in. I don't think that that's going to work out for the Cowboys unless they just give him a contract. And they're not going to do that, so it's not going to work out for the Cowboys. And everyone's going to be mad. And this is what I hate about franchise tagging. It pisses everyone off. No one likes the franchise tag. No one. And yet owners use it all the time. We have to get rid of the franchise tag. Have to. You have to get rid of it. It's a scourge upon the offseason. It is a scourge upon players, and it is a scourge upon teams. No one likes playing on the franchise tag. Teams don't get what they want out of the franchise tag. Very rarely, if ever, do franchise tagged players end up getting what they want in the long run. And I think it's a terror. I have never been more irritated in a non-field-related sports function than the franchise tag. It is so infuriating because it's like, hey, here's a bunch of money. I don't know why anybody would turn that down. Oh, it's because value and the market and blah, 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 and business and fuck. It's just like, it's so infuriating that players hate it. And it's also so infuriating that owners always use it as a catch-all solution for player disputes, for contract disputes. It's just like a catch-all solution. Well, we could always franchise tag him, but it never works. Ever. Never works. Why? Why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? Why do we keep franchise tagging players who don't want to be franchise tagged? If a player says, I refuse to play on the franchise tag, maybe believe them once. Just one time believe them. Because all the franchise tag does is it puts fans in the corner of the team. It does not solve a problem. It causes problems. It causes contentiousness. It causes a lot of issues. It doesn't solve any problems. Zero. None. Zero problems are solved by the franchise tag. Why does it exist? Why do we keep using it? Why are owners hell-bent on ruining the relationships that they have with their best players by using the franchise tag? In the CBA, if I were, who is it now? Who's the president of the CBA, or the president of the NFLPA? DeMaurice Smith? Fuck, they're screwed. DeMaurice Smith's just the worst. Okay, let's go through some more comments. Aldo says, stay the course and don't overpay anyone anymore. Build through the draft, and we have talent, just not the coaching. Wayne says, Covington is better than our depth. Bradley, it's not our fault, TJ. It's not your fault, Bradley. It's not your fault. Aldo, we will always have the best team, love or hate. To love or hate. We will always have the best team to love or hate. Yeah, yeah, it's America's team. Wayne, of course we are entitled. It's America's team. Yes. I'm going to catch up to some comments here. Denzel says, if Romo had the defense Dak has, he would have had to carry the team like he did. He wouldn't have had to carry the team like he did. Daniel says, he didn't have the team, and Dak fucking sucks, so get over it. Doesn't scare one fucking team in the NFL. Kind of agree with that, Daniel. Roderick, new commenter, Roderick. What's up, Roderick? Why are we comparing Romo at the end of his career to Dak after each 3 years? Based on Dak numbers, he's 10 times better than Romo was at this point. He has a better team, and also, too, that's not how this works. I also haven't really seen any improvement from Dak Prescott from the time he was drafted until now. So what do you do with that? 3 years of zero development? I haven't seen him improve. He had 22 touchdowns, then 23 touchdowns, then 22 touchdowns again. You're right there in the Alex Smith zone. Okay, all right, let's do this. Did JT survive, Chris? Yes, he did. Nathaniel, everything is open for him. Every team loads the box to stop Zeke. Yeah, his job is easier than Romo's was. That's true. Kerry, Romo was on a team with 13 Pro Bowlers. Yeah, it doesn't really matter though. 13 Pro Bowlers, like you guys know how this works. Fan voting. That's how he got in. That's how you get 13 Pro Bowlers. It's because it's the freaking Cowboys. Yeah, the Chiefs had 7 Pro Bowlers a year they went 2-14. Jenny says hello. What's up, Jenny? Tony, it's true we are keeping Tavon. Is it true we are keeping Tavon Austin? Well, if you don't, then I don't know. Who are they gonna hire? Who are they gonna sign if they don't sign Tavon Austin? Cole Beasley's gone. They don't have any wide receivers other than the 2 that everybody likes. And nobody else cares. No one cares about who the 5th receiver is. That's what I've learned in my decade worth of covering professional football. Aldo says, it's a tricky one because there are a lot of running backs coming out each year. I love Zeke, but these guys really need to stop getting overpaid and bring salary back down to earth. Yeah, but it's not the running back's fault. The running back's one of the most devalued positions in the league. Peter, no salary cap, survival of the fittest. Let's see here. Daniel, it's going into year 4, Ginny. When is an NFL QB supposed to get good? Year 5 or year 6? That's usually when they hit elite level is year 6, year 5 or 6. Yeah. I think Manning was a little ahead of the curve in year 4, but Brady hit elite at 5. Breeze hit elite at 5. Andrew Luck was really good as a rookie and then struggled, and then year 5 he has now turned into a really, really, really good quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, same thing, year 5. Yeah, that's why it's like everybody who's obsessed with Patrick Mahomes right now, just wait. Because I'm guessing he's going to have at least 1 year here where he is fucking awful. And then it's going to drive down his value, and he's not going to get paid. It's going to be the 1 year where he's like in a contract dispute with the Chiefs, and they're going to be like, well, you sucked last year, so like that's how this always works. Earl Thomas is in Baltimore. Yes, he is. Earl Thomas is in Baltimore, and Antonio Brown is in Oakland/Las Vegas. Oh, boy. Okay, all right. Let's do this. I want to play this since we're talking about Dak Prescott so much. Here is a video we made this week. Dak Prescott, is he worth top 5 money? Here's what I had to say. Is Dak Prescott worth top 5 money? I'm TJ Carpenter, and I know for a fact that there is nothing people hate more than paying quarterbacks not named Tom Brady. So buckle up, because we're about to talk about paying millions of dollars to people you resent with every fiber of your being, as you sit on the couch with a jersey with their name on it while you scream alone in the dark. Sad, sad place most middle-aged men are in. So unathletic. So sad. This is your life. Oh, what's that? Another 4-yard swing pass to the flat to a running back for 4 yards? Great. That ensures your 69% completion percentage remains intact? Because that's the exact statistic I use to rationalize to myself that you bum, are worth $25 million a season. Here's a fun exercise. Which one of these quarterbacks is Super Bowl champion and professional cardboard cutout of himself, Joe Flacco? And which one is the physical embodiment of nice guys finish last, Trevor Siemian? If you answered, I can't tell and it doesn't matter anyway, I'm a Denver Broncos fan and I hate myself, you are correct. To the point, Joe Flacco makes $21 million a season. Trevor Siemian makes less than $1 million a season. And they're the same. Jesus. And both of their statistics are extremely average and extremely the same. Dak Prescott has also been extremely average to this point. He is, for his career, averaging 22 touchdowns a season, which puts him right in the Alex Smith zone. And as we all know, Alex Smith is the patron saint of average quarterbacks. Forgive me, Alex, for I have sinned. I have not taken enough sacks this season. Although Dak Prescott was second in sacks in the NFL last season. Only statistic he is technically elite in. Dak is also averaging a bunch of other stuff, including this, and this. I'm too lazy to memorize all that, but you get the point. Still, the going rate for a completely average quarterback that we all know is average is still about $18 million a season, which is pretty steep. But when has Jerry Jones ever been afraid of embarrassing himself or his organization? I mean, the phrase, I got blackout drunk last night, made out with a co-ed, and I think I bought a yacht, if it applies to anybody, it applies to Jerry Jones. The Cowboys could pay Dak Prescott top 5 money. They could also draft Drew Lock, who has the hands of a raccoon, and probably win about as many games. Or not. My point is, it doesn't really matter who the Cowboys quarterback is because everything else is totally the same. The Cowboys have a micromanaging owner who puts in a lot of half days. They've got a coach who has the personality of a traffic cone. And then, of course, they've also got a coordinator who looks like an unpotty-trained labradoodle. And to be honest, has the exact same amount of coordinating experience as an unpotty-trained labradoodle. This means Dak Prescott's stats aren't going to change this coming season. No change! You want some hope and change? Don't ask Dak Prescott. He ain't breaking any hundreds anytime soon. So his only shot at getting a big-time contract is if he wins the Super Bowl. And then it won't really matter if he's a shorter version of Joe Flacco, if Joe Flacco let his dog bite people's hands off. He's gonna get paid, because if I know anything, it's that winning a Super Bowl gets your quarterback a contract extension. Just don't expect to be happy with that decision down the road, because no one ever is. Unless your quarterback is Tom Brady. You can taste the elite just coming off of the imaginary graphic next to me. All right, there you go. There is my my Dak Prescott, is he worth top 5 money take? And the answer is no, because no one is, except Tom Brady. He's the only quarterback, and he's at the end of his career, and he's not making top 5 money. It's so weird how that works, isn't it? It's so strange that the only quarterback that no one would ever debate is worth the highest paid contract in the league, the most guaranteed money, is Tom Brady. If your team could put Tom Brady on a 1-year, $35 million contract, fully guaranteed, would you do it? The answer is yes. How far up could you go on 1 year, fully guaranteed for Tom Brady before it's not worth it? In a salary capped league, how far could you go? That's what I want to know from you people. You people. Let's see. Let's go through. Aldo says Dak will be the same this year. Hopefully he doesn't take all the sacks and finds receivers this year. Chris says my left nut has more experience than Kellen Moore calling plays. Rick says I don't believe Dak Romo comparison is really a warranted discussion. I get it. They were both Cowboys QB, but were in 2 totally different offensive schemes. Would be a fair comparison if we went back to being a pass-happy offense like we were with Romo. Then and only then could we have a fair comparison/discussion. Yeah, but maybe if he had Zeke Elliott, they would have played a more conservative type of football, and Romo would have won a Super Bowl. Who knows? Let's see. Kerry says, all you Dak haters will go compare his stats to Wentz and Goff, and he's right there, but they're good and he's bad. Yeah, that's right. Well, the difference there is that Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl, and Carson Wentz has been to a Super Bowl, kind of. He placed 3rd in MVP voting, and he only played 13 games that year, and he got hurt. And also, I've watched both of them play, and Carson Wentz is a really good quarterback. And Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, but he's not top 5 in the league. Let's see. That's right, Nathaniel. And maybe one. Let's see. Where's Nathaniel? Nathaniel. The difference is Dakota is always seeing pass-friendly defenses and still only manages 150 yards passing. Denzel says, not worth it, in my opinion, to pay him top 5 money. I would agree. Sean says, then look at both sides of that future. I haven't seen the needle on Dak throwing the ball or dissecting a defense move in 3 years. I really doubt that's just going to all of a sudden change just because the fans will it. Daniel says, that's right, Nathaniel, and maybe 1 passing touchdown. Kerry, you're the first I've heard say Wentz and Goff suck, that's for sure. Let's see. Sean says, I've heard many people say Wentz and Goff aren't that good. Yeah, those people are out there. Those people are usually Chiefs fans. Yeah, it's like, by the way, if you ever get into a conversation with a Chiefs fan about Patrick Mahomes and you do not basically call him Jesus on earth, like if you criticize his desire to put ketchup on a steak, they'll come after you. They're extremely defensive and very insecure about their football team and their quarterback. So if you want to wade into those waters, yeah, the psycho city up in Missouri, that's where the Carson Wentz haters are. That's where the Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Sean McVay ain't that good people are. They all live in the Midwest in Missouri or Kansas. Wade Zetterberg in the house. What's up, Wade? Aldo says, I'm just glad Jerry is not overpaying anymore. Keep young legs on the field, and for the love of God, stop hiring potheads. Aldo, the pothead thing is like, how are you going to know? Everybody in the league smokes pot. It's just the stupid ones who get caught. Stop paying stupid players? If that's what you're saying, then I agree. Stop paying stupid players. Let's see. What was I going to say? The Ravens. I think the Ozzie Newsome was a phenomenal GM at keeping young, fresh legs on the field. And I think that you're going to see Eric DeCosta, who is taking over for him. I think you're going to see DeCosta kind of an extension of that. We've already seen a lot of churn on that defense for not paying players. And the Ravens have one of the best track records of any team in the league when it comes to that. I would say that that's probably a good path if you're just organizationally loyal. I don't always think letting good players walk is a good idea, but I think in certain circumstances you're going to have to do it sometimes. And the Cowboys are staring that right down the barrel right now because they've got 4 guys who all want franchise money, and really a franchise can only sustain 2 of them. And I think you might be able to push a third with Ezekiel Elliott because he's a running back. But at the very least, one of the 4 is going to have to go. We've talked about that before. And it's probably going to be Amari Cooper, if we're being totally honest here. Aldo says, yes, stop paying stupid players. Alan Hearns in this. Is Hearns okay? Is he going to be able to recover for next season, Wayne? Jenny says, so the Cowboys have an average good QB. Are we going to go out and get a top 5 QB? No. Is there a top 5 QB available for the Cowboys? No. I'd rather have an average to good QB than one from the bottom of the pack. Well, just like my Flacco, Trevor Siemian statistics point out, sometimes you pay a guy who's good and he turns out to be not that good. He turns out to be just slightly above a replacement backup who is worth less than $1 million. But he's only worth less than $1 million because he hasn't played yet. If he does play and has any semblance of success, he's going to get a big contract. How do I know that? Case Keenum. That's how I know that. You can have a 4A type player, which is a baseball term, I know. You can have a backup quarterback who is definitely a backup, play as a starter, and if for whatever reason they win 10 or more games with that guy's going to get paid either by that team or by a different team. It's exactly what happened with Case Keenum. It's happening with Ryan Fitzpatrick over and over and over again. So these guys exist out there. And I'm not saying that Dak Prescott is one of those guys, but I'm saying that the likelihood that he's one of those guys is just as high as the likelihood that he becomes an elite quarterback. Right now, he's at a crossroads. And one crossroad leads to good, not great, guy who could get benched in the middle of the season if he doesn't play well, and great player who wins a ton of games and you love and adore and cherish because you associate his name with titles. He could go either direction. He's never going to be Brady, but could he be? Could he be? Could he be Russell Wilson? Sure, yeah, he could be Russell Wilson. He's got to work. He's got to work at it. He's got to get better. But he could be Russell Wilson. That's possible. I do not think that he's ever going to be Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have the innate skills. But could he end up being like Ryan Fitzpatrick at the end of his career, where he's just a nomad, just transient around the East Coast, just walking up and down the East Coast. I play for the Jets. Now I'm going to play for the Bucks. Now I'm going to play for the Titans. Now I'm going to play for this other team. Has Ryan Fitzpatrick played for every team yet? I don't think he's been a Chief. I don't think he hasn't been a Cowboy yet. So there's 2. He hasn't been a Viking. That's 3. He's played for a lot of teams, though. Buffalo. He's played for so many teams. Carrie says, you paying him what the QB market is. I don't think you need to. I think you could find a guy in the draft like Tiny Hands Drew Lock. He's got the hands of a raccoon. He's just out there just tiny-handed throwing bombs. Great arm, great height, great physical ability. He's just got tiny hands. It's kind of like Colin Kaepernick. And guess what? For at least 2 seasons, Colin Kaepernick fucking lit the league on fire. I think people forget that because of the way things ended with Chip Kelly. For a time there, like, Colin Kaepernick was legit good, which kind of lends credence to the fact that Jim Harbaugh is a better coach than Chip Kelly. Let's see. Brady is the GOAT. That's what Wade said. Chris says Aunt Becky should be the next Cowboys head coach. She'll be in prison, so probably not. Daniel says 150 yards was being sarcastic, and it was more around 215, 225 range. That's not getting it done in the league where Ari is screaming pass league. Seriously, like the other guy saying willing Dak to be better is not going to be better. Let's see here. Wade says Ryan Fitzpatrick getting looked at by Real Madrid or Juventus. He could get a Juventus contract. They'll take anybody. PSG, talking about a transient franchise. Let's see. Kerry Eagle, long as he heads us to a Super Bowl. Okay. All right. I know. Like, and that's what I said at the end of the video is the only thing that is going to get Dak Prescott top 5 money guaranteed is winning the Super Bowl. Because his stats aren't going to change. What would make you believe that his stats are going to get any better? What's going to happen? What is going to cause his stats to become better than they've been the last 3 seasons? Other than just like out of thin air, happenstance. I don't see it. And look, a big part of my criticisms of this team come down to the fact that I don't think the personnel is bad. And I want to be very clear about this. I like Dak Prescott. I think he's a good quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback, and I wouldn't pay him $25 million a year, but he's a good quarterback. And I think you can win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. The problem here is that we feel like there is some possibility that the personnel on the team is going to change. We know that the owner isn't going to change, even though he's been talking about death a lot lately. Isn't that weird? Anybody else? Jerry Jones, like since the season ended, he's like, I'm going to die soon. He said it like 15 different times. Every time I see some sort of media availability or Jerry Jones goes on a radio show, he always seems to drop it in like, I ain't got much time left, guys. I've had a lot to drink today and every day since I was about 15. And he seems very conscious of his own mortality since the season ended. And I don't know why that is, but he's been talking about his own death quite a bit lately. It makes me a little nervous. But it also, like, other than death, Jerry Jones is going to be the owner. And at least for this coming season, Jason Garrett's going to be the coach. Fans don't feel like that's going to change. That is like a mountain of consistency right there. Not changing. So if that's not changing, that means the coaching structure is the same, the ownership decision-making is the same. The only thing that could potentially change are a couple of minor pieces here and there. They promoted from within for their new coordinator, and they're basically sticking with what they've got personnel-wise, which, other than Kellen Moore being the OC, what has changed this season? So what is leading you to believe that they're going to be able to stop with, at this point, fewer defensive linemen, the Los Angeles Rams from running for 500 yards against them in the playoffs next season? Nothing. Because nothing else has changed. Sean says, well, unless he defs the odds, he is. Defeats the odds? Is that what you're saying? Rick says, Jon Kitna will help Dak out tremendously. Expound upon that, Rick. I would like to hear your take on Jon Kitna. Write me a paragraph, and I will read it right here. While you're doing that, Rick, we're going to play this Jason Garrett clip. And this Jason Garrett video, one of my favorites. Really enjoyed doing this video. These are my thoughts on Jason Garrett and why he's still the Cowboys head coach, and why he shouldn't be the head coach at least after this season. I'd fire him today if it were up to me, but it's not. So here we go. Welcome to What the Sports. I'm TJ Carpenter, and today we ask the question, why is Jason Garrett still employed? It's a question that plagues the greatest intellectuals of our day, and Will Cain. And if you don't know who Will Cain is, congratulations. Jason Garrett is many things. Gainfully employed is just one of them. Jay Jeezy is a rich tapestry of humanity. Jason Garrett is the league's longest tenured unfinished Meeseeks. Jason Garrett is the world's most lifelike JCPenney mannequin. Jason Garrett is the world's least lifelike sex doll. Jason Garrett is a Fortnite skin that encountered a loading error halfway through. Jason Garrett is the generic coaching husk that they substitute into video games for Bill Belichick. Jason Garrett has so many friends. I've seen so many Brad Paisley with Jason Garrett in public. Jason Garrett is the first human mayonnaise hybrid. Jason Garrett is actually Jerry Jones' illegitimate son that he can't acknowledge in public. Jason Garrett has taken the Cowboys offense from a paltry 23.2 points per game when he took over in 2011 to a very impressive 21.2 points per game in 2018. That's called consistency. Try getting that kind of consistency out of a real-life human person who has feelings and emotions and genitals, all that stuff. No chance. That kind of consistency, it can only be found in the cold, unfeeling, retrograde circuits of a compact computer that has absolutely no genitals whatsoever. At least not that I know of. Of course, you have to wonder how Johnny Five happened. In fact, Jason Garrett and Johnny Five may have been separated at birth. We don't know. Johnny Five obviously got all of the humanity in utero. So why then is this sugar-free vanilla wafer of a man still the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Many will argue it's because of his football brain, which of course was installed at Princeton. Of course, as we all know, that brain just defaults to punt when it doesn't know what to do, which is fairly often. Honestly, I'm surprised that the Cowboys haven't punted on third down yet. Jerry Jones did not, however, give Jason Garrett a contract extension, which means that Uncle Jerry is at the very least questioning whether or not coddling / manipulating an android that doesn't know whether or not it's human was really the best move. I mean, at this point, watching Jason Garrett make late game decisions is basically its own Alan Turing test. Jason Garrett does not do well. Let's just say the jury's still out on Jason Garrett, on whether or not he's, conscious. Dumb box of circuits. I mean, some people think that none of us are really human. But much like Johnny Five, perhaps Jason Garrett's plight can teach us about our own humanity. Yeah, did you ever think about that? Probably not. Questions like, if you micromanage an NFL team for 3 decades and at the same time also half-ass it / automate very important functions of said franchise without giving up total control of that franchise and your micromanaging ways, will you be stuck in a time loop wherein you cannot escape the universe's first mediocre black hole? I mean, maybe Jason Garrett isn't even to blame. Much like Frankenstein's monster, maybe he's just taken the rap for his creator's mistakes. Franken-Garrett is a byproduct of someone else's madness. Instead of asking, why is Jason Garrett still employed, maybe we should be asking, why is Jason Garrett? I mean, why was he even a head coach to begin with? Was it his football acumen? Or was it just simply his willingness to be controlled by his master? Even if Garrett does meet his end in 2019, I shudder to think what monsters Jerry Jones will create for the Cowboys next. All right, there you go. There is What the Sport's on Jason Garrett. And I think pretty much everybody who watches this show on the regular is on the same page. Jason Garrett isn't useful anymore. There is no essential function that he serves to the success of the team. You really only have a head coach to relay messages from the owner's box. I mean, that's unfortunately just the reality of the situation when it comes to Jason Garrett. And, I think that their decision-making is kind of, it's evidence of that. Kellen Moore, is Kellen Moore going to be able to do something that totally fundamentally changes the Cowboys offense? I don't think so. And so if that's the case, then you have to start looking at the people who hire and fire the people who make the decisions on the field. And if you don't start directing that ire and that, I know it's hard. I know it's hard to look at a team that made the playoffs, made a turnaround the way the Cowboys did, and won a playoff game and say, do better. You got to fire those people. You have to get somebody else. But, in a vacuum, that statement, I turned a 3-5 record into a 10-6 record and made the playoffs and won a game. In a vacuum, that's pretty impressive. If this were Jason Garrett's first season, I think everybody would be ecstatic about Jason Garrett. But it's not. It's his 8th season. And that's the problem here, is that he's been doing this for a long time, and it's the same stuff over and over again. And you can't reward that. It is less impressive. Okay, it's like, it's like a child, right? You're potty training your kid. First time he does a doo-doo on his own, it's a big deal. Good job, Jason. You did a doo-doo on your own. God, that's so great. Now I don't have to worry about changing diapers anymore. It's a celebration for most parents. But, 8 years later, if you've got a 12-year-old going around school shitting their pants, you're not happy when they do a doo-doo on their own. Like, he's got to be better than this at this point. You have to be. You have to be. Let's see. Oh, there's Rick. Okay, here is Rick's paragraph. Okay, so Rick's contention is that Jon Kitna will be a tremendous value to Dak Prescott in terms of improvement. He'll be a tremendous help. I think it was the word that he used, tremendous. Rick says, all you have to do is watch the quarterback camp video of Jon Kitna talking. All you have to do is watch the quarterback camp video of Jon Kitna talking about the position and his interactions with Mike Martz when Kitna didn't do what play was called and Martz told him to run what I call, and if you throw the INT, I will take the blame. Dak is so safe with the ball because he is afraid to make that throw he's talking about. Kitna will make him throw that throw and take the blame. Kitna also talks about how many people think the QB position is all about their arm instead of feet. I think he will work very hard with Dak at his footwork and decision-making. Okay, so footwork and decision-making, that's good, but I don't think that's necessarily profound. I think most quarterback coaches will tell you your feet matter more than your arm. So that's a little bit of projection of fan knowledge onto player knowledge. But I do think, and also too, Mike Martz is a head coach, not a quarterback's coach. So those two things are different as well. I believe that Kitna can have an impact, but at this point, it's really all about Dak Prescott improving himself. Self-evaluation, self-work, self-knowledge. I was thinking about this yesterday. I don't know why. This was weird. I think I was cleaning something, and I started thinking, if my quarterback, I'm talking to my quarterback, and, I think I want him to be this great player. I want him to be above and beyond what a normal player is. So instead of in the meeting, when I bring in Dak Prescott, if I say, look, we're going to pay you this money, but if we pay you this money, here's what my expectation is of you. You're the first one at the training facility. You're the last one to leave. I don't care what day it is. I don't care what player is still there, what position is still there, and whether or not they're playing cards in the rec room, they're just dicking around on their phone at their locker, or if they're out on the field doing hand drills or one-on-ones or whatever it is, you're still there. I don't want anybody to be in that building unless you're also there. You have to be there all the time. That's my expectation of you as a quarterback, because you have to set an example. And if you don't set that example, I heard somebody, Ari earlier talking about how, Jason Hatcher said it. Jason Hatcher saying, Dak Prescott treats the janitor the same way he treats the owner, which, by the way, I also treat Jerry Jones like a janitor. So Dak Prescott and I have that in common. No, but my expectation of him would be, you're the hardest working person on the team. You're always there. Your obsession in life is making the Dallas Cowboys the best possible team. And by obsession, I mean obsession. I'm not saying that it's your job. I'm not saying it's your passion. There's a difference between passion and obsession, right? Passion, you can be passionate about a lot of things. I'm passionate about football. I'm not obsessive about football. I'm passionate about football. It's a passion of mine. But, I can absolutely leave it at the door. I can have a conversation with somebody that has nothing to do with football. I could do 3 straight hours of content with no commercial breaks and not mention football at all, or sports in general. you know? But if it's your obsession, you can't let it go. Your obsession has to be making the Dallas Cowboys the best possible team. You know who is obsessed with that kind of stuff? You know who's obsessive about that? Peyton Manning was obsessive about being the best quarterback he could possibly be. And I would say he's the best example of obsession versus passion. A lot of guys are passionate. I do not discount passion from Dak Prescott. I do not discount passion from any Cowboy. I don't discount passion from Jason Garrett. I don't discount passion from Jerry Jones. But the difference is that everyone has passion at this level. You have to. You have to have passion to make it this far. To be the best amongst this elite level group of individuals, you have to be obsessed. Obsessed. Like the best example of obsession, literarily speaking, is Moby Dick, right? Captain Ahab was not passionate about catching Moby Dick. He was obsessed with catching Moby Dick. He was obsessed with the whale. Obsessed. He wrecked his own ship. He murdered people. Death. There was a large amount of death in the wake of Captain Ahab's obsession. That's obsession. That's what Dak Prescott has to have, in my opinion, to warrant $25 million a season. Anybody want to disagree with that? Let's take a look at... Nathaniel says, Jon Kitna talking to DeCosta will make him better? Get the fuck out of here. DeCosta throwing looks like Jordan's signature dunk. Change that shit. Wade says, Daniel Lozano keeping it real. I appreciate that. What did Daniel say? Oh, fucking fan knowledge to player knowledge. Fucking hilarious. More fans of not knowing shit. Aldo, sorry, but Dak doesn't have the knowledge. Kerry, yeah. We went three for 4 without Zeke. That's not exactly falling off the map. Rick knows stuff. I wasn't trying to single out Rick. That was not my point in making that statement. That's how I interpreted that. Let's see here. Michael says, did someone pee in your cornflakes, dude? He's talking to Daniel. Let's see. Daniel, so 1 below 500 out of these 4 is tolerable. Everybody's responding to Daniel. Daniel, you are getting so much shit right now. Carrie says, guess you're the only one who has it all figured out. Guess your feelings, bro. Dak is your QB. Deal with it. Carrie also says, there's 16 games in the season. You funny. Wade, I'm glad Dak isn't mine. Daniel says, don't go off topic, dude. We're talking about without Zeke, right? Chris, the Super Bowl is Jerry's white whale. Is it? I think Johnny Walker Blue is Jerry Jones' white whale at this point. Does anybody else notice that? I haven't seen any comments about this. Jerry Jones is a little morbid these days. He's talking about his own death a lot. It's a little concerning. Am I the only one who's noticed this? Sean, most players are only obsessed with getting that big payday. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make them bad players. That makes them human. I'm obsessed with getting a big payday. If I could say I am obsessed with anything, it's getting paid. Let's see. Carrie says, passion and being good at the position are like day and night and day. I do think passion is important. Passion is not what's going to get you what you want. Passion might get you what you want, but you're leaving a lot up to chance with passion. With obsession, you're either going to get what you want or people are going to die. That's obsession. And not die, but Peyton Manning did get rid of coaches. He got rid of players. He dictated. When he was a Bronco, holy shit, he got John Fox fired. He was on the outs with a lot of players. They did whatever he wanted because he was so much. No one micromanages more than Peyton Manning. I don't think people understand this about him. He is a tremendous micromanager, which is why I thought at some point he might consider being a coach. He's going to be an owner, if anything, in the league. Chris says, Romo wasn't obsessed. He wanted to be a golfer, never stayed in shape. That's why I wouldn't want him back as a quarterback. Wayne says, why is this even a discussion? Jerry's all in on Dak. He will get paid. I think that he's already said he's going to get a contract extension, but I think also him saying that and then it not happening has a lot more to do with what Dak Prescott thinks of himself as opposed to what Jerry Jones thinks of him. I think Jerry Jones has a pretty good, he has a pretty good eye for what Dak Prescott is. And paying him $18 million a year is fine. And if that's what Jerry Jones offered Dak Prescott as a contract extension and he accepted it, the deal would have already been done. But I think what we're dealing with here is that Jerry's saying 17, 18 mil a season, and Dak Prescott's saying 25, or his agent's saying 25, and he's like, you haven't worked hard enough for a $25 million contract. And I know that's hard, but that's probably the way that conversation's going. Rick, if I didn't know shit, Daniel Lozano, I don't think I would be getting offers to work for a national network like sportscasting after sportscasting school, but sure, keep talking shit and arm chairing everything. Oh, boy. Look, I will say this to both of you. Neither of you really know what's going to happen. No one does, because that hasn't happened yet. It's impossible. It's impossible to know. So I would say predictions are predictions. Just remember that. You can have an educated prediction. I don't think Rick's is uneducated. I don't think Daniel's is uneducated. They're just different. Just got to remember differences don't necessarily mean that the other people don't know what you're talking about, but those are different perspectives. Sean says, what? Peyton Manning didn't invite everyone to his house for barbecues? That's not leadership. Peyton Manning was considered to be one of the more antisocial players in league history. He would interact with players all the time on the field, in the practice facility, but off the field, when it wasn't practice time, when it wasn't football related, Peyton Manning did not give a shit, because Peyton Manning's life basically revolved around two things: Peyton Manning's brand and Peyton Manning's quarterbacking. Wade says, all these Cowgirl fans fighting me makes me smile. Aldo, we all have different opinions on what we need. Rick says, how fucking dare you, TJ? I know what's going to happen. Carrie, you tripping. That was last year, Daniel. Chaz Green was horrible. Chaz Green was horrible. Daniel, if you say so, Rick, Joe, if Jerry pays Dak more than $22 million a year, he needs to get his head checked out. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I want to thank everybody for watching once again. Hope you enjoy our page. By all means, please share our videos. If you see a video of mine, a short form video, I'm way more interested in you sharing those than sharing this. So please, if you could do that, that would be great. Thank you guys, as always, for talking with me today, hashing these issues out on Cowboy stuff. Please invite your friends. If you think your friends would enjoy getting involved in a conversation like this. I don't always get to every comment. I apologize if I skipped your comment. Please let me know. And yeah, that's it for today. See you tomorrow. Later, y'all.